So my name's Stephen Pillon. I currently work as a product manager for a fintech startup called Vertiva, soon to be rebranding, but I'm helping them build a digital online home loans business, which is really cool. Been there a couple of months, but I actually studied IT and business, did a double degree at UTS, tried out a few IT internships at first before I realised business was, I guess I was more passionate about business. And then eventually I moved into banking, spent about 8 years working for two of the big four banks in Australia, in roles ranging from sales to product management and a bit of strategy as well. And then my most recent role before this one, I spent about 18 months in management consulting, doing basically strategy consulting, working for mainly financial services clients, but several different clients before finally jumping into the startup world. And now here I am, loving life. Probably the best advice I received was money will come. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about pivoting. So I think when you're young, particularly, we start out of uni, maybe joined a grad program. I think everyone thinks they're, king shit, for lack of a more politically correct word. But, I think everyone's really ambitious at that stage, and everyone wants to chase the money. And a lot of people, I saw a lot of peers choosing roles that I didn't think were potentially the best career move for them, but, they were chasing the money because it was a promotion, and they might have been stuck or gone down a path where I could see, you'd either you hit a ceiling at a certain stage, or it could be potentially a bit boring. I had a senior, a general manager at a bank that gave me some advice, which he said, money will come. Don't worry about that. Focus on getting the right experience and getting on the right career path. And eventually, and this was some other advice someone gave me, which is hopefully you can find a role that you're good at, you love, and that pays well, those three things. And if you can find something that ticks all those three boxes, and it might take a little while, trying a few different things out, usually the rest will take care of itself, and the money will come and you'll be very successful. And so that was best career advice. Worst, I had to think about this one a little bit, but I had one manager tell me that I wasn't getting promoted because I didn't work long enough hours. Now, it might seem a bit far-fetched for someone to say that in this day and age, and this wasn't that long ago. This was maybe 7-8 years ago. But they actually told me that I didn't work long enough hours, and I was a bit shocked when they told me that. And luckily, I didn't really listen to it, because my view is, and I even more firmly believe in this, that output's much more important than the hours you work. And if you're in a job where it's all about face time, and if they're judging you based on how many hours they see you at your desk, what time you're going home at night, maybe you've got to question whether you're in the right career and whether you're in a job where they actually value you for your output, what you deliver, rather than, just spending hours behind a desk. And that's probably even more apparent now with COVID and with everyone having to work, getting to work from home. People starting to focus on more things like productivity rather than just FaceTime. But luckily I didn't listen to that, and I actually left that role pretty quickly when I figured out that was what they expected, and it didn't align with the kind of role or career I wanted. It's true, hindsight is 20/20. You do always look back and you think, okay, well, I could have done this better. I should have made that move or this move. But at the time, I think we make the best decision from the information that we analyse and that we know, we're aware of. I think going back to what I was saying before, I probably should have focused more on really killing it in my current roles rather than thinking too much about the future and the next step. But also being open and recognizing that career isn't just a linear path. I think when we straight out of uni, we think it's a linear ladder that you just climb, and we plan it all out in our heads. But learning and accepting that a lot of careers go like this, sometimes sideways, sometimes backwards. But as long as you've got your in the back of your mind, you've got your kind of your long-term vision of where you want to get to, and you're thinking maybe 1, max 2 moves ahead, I think that's okay. But yeah, still focusing on really killing it in your current role. I think going back to where I was saying before, where when you're young, you're really ambitious and you're always focusing on what's next, the next move, next role. You're always, everyone wants to become the CEO. I think sometimes we get too focused on looking ahead, looking forward, and not enough focusing on your current role and really performing and kicking goals in your current role. And I think I was guilty of that a little bit myself. And sometimes I would be stuck in a role that I would see as like a stepping stone role. And so I wouldn't try as hard because in my mind, I'm already looking ahead, thinking about, getting out, what's next. But people I saw really successful at a young age, they really focused on their current role and try to really achieve. And even if it's not the role you want to end up in or be there forever, what happens is you learn more because you're building a strong foundation. But you're going to be recognised and you're going to get promoted quicker and get pay rises sooner. So I think advice to my younger self would have been focus on building a foundation, building a good skill set. Because another thing is when you become a manager, when you start managing teams, you don't actually have as much time to start to learn those foundational skills. You're expected to know them at that stage. It's more about leading teams rather than doing. So figure out what skills you want to develop and develop them early, whether it's, skills in accounting, in product management, analysis, whatever it might be, and really focus on developing those early because you won't get another chance once you've progressed a few years down your career and you're expected to already know those skills. Probably the 3 things that I think have been on my side is number 1 is being personable and easy to get along with. You'd be surprised how many people are difficult to work with, and doesn't matter how smart people are, if they're difficult to work with, it's a quick way not to make friends. It just makes your job easier if you're easy to get along with. Second is having a good attitude of being open to learn. And a lot of people, I think, underestimate this. I think a lot of people go into interviews thinking, I'm going to demonstrate why I know so much and, I'm the expert and why they should hire me based on my knowledge. But a lot of the time, people would actually prefer someone who knows less, but has a good attitude and is open to learn, rather than someone who knows more, might be more skillful or experienced, but it's a bit of a know-it-all. It's a saying I like to live by, which is the second you think you know it all, that's when you stop learning. That's when you stop growing, because you've got nothing left to learn. So you always have to have that attitude of being open and that you can grow. And then the third thing I think is being strategic in my career choices. Although I mentioned, career path's not linear, it changes and goes around. I was always thinking, like I said, about pivoting. I was always thinking about, with my next move, making sure, number 1, it's something I liked, that I enjoyed, but also something that was in line with the career path I wanted to go on. So either it was a stepping stone or it was building up the skills that I needed to have to kind of get to where I wanted to go. So always keeping that longer term kind of career goal in the back of your head.